First of all, I have to give a tremendous thank you to Kneseth Israel Annapolis and all that make the videos possible. I got 2 thank you notes, one oral. Actually, the 2 thank you notes came via the internet, and I passed them on to the rabbi. Last time I was here, we spoke about lessons about the state of Israel from a dentist, Dr. Harold Ribico, of blessed memory. That video was passed on from your shul to his children. And I got beautiful notes on emails from his daughters. His son I saw in person. And they told me that basically the gist was they always loved their father, they always thought he was special. When you have someone else that you don't even know is applying lessons from their father, and it's out there for the world to see, and out there in Annapolis and other places, that it made them feel very, very warm and good. So it just goes to show you could be learning Torah, discussing great things in Annapolis, and it can touch people all over the country, all over the world. That video went to a lot of places. So this is a reminder that whatever we do in Annapolis, whether it's praying, having a function in this room or that room, you're affecting people you don't even see. And the rabbi has the emails from the daughters, and we did a big mitzvah together. What could I tell you? All right, but before we start switching over to Passover mode in the future, so we got to do a little bit more with Israel. So the proper thing is to start with honoring one's own father. My father, Artie Aaron Karp. The way some people's introduction to my father, Aaron Artie Karp, is, if you ever went to Kutcher's Hotel in upstate New York, my dad worked there for years. If you didn't go there, if you went to the Raleigh, dad worked there too. And you don't have to admit this, if you like to go to Monticello Raceway, dad worked there too. Pretty good for an immigrant who couldn't speak English that came here from Slunim, Lithuania. He, as the Jeffersons say, dad moved on up. So one of the things dad did that gave him a lot of hope, and dad used to say, there was one time I was saying some Hasidic story about the glorious shtetl, and that was so wonderful. And dad pulled me aside. He says, Harry, I don't know who wrote that story. I grew up there, okay? And let me tell you about bathrooms. Let me tell you about cold water flats. Let me tell you what the shtetl was really like. He says, be happy you're in America. You don't want to go back. Read your story, he goes, but I'll tell you what it was really like. On Purim, I want to tell you, my father would hit me from time to time, but he should have hit me 10 times more. And by the way, the white one is decaf. One time after Purim, I called my father. Now, if you think about this American youth from there, Israel, calling up his European father saying this, he should have smacked me through the phone. I was complaining that I didn't like the flavor of hamantashen I had on Purim. I was kvetching about the flavors. So you can hear on the phone, my father was trying to decide, should I straighten out this wet behind the ears kid or not? So I heard my father take a breath. He says, Harry, let me explain something to you. In Lithuania, in Slunim, we had one flavor of hamantashen. It was mun. It was poppy. You didn't even get that many. If you got half of one, you made a bracha, you ate it, and you were happy. So I heard him, son, please don't complain to me that you only have 3 flavors instead of 4. It's so he really should have yelled at me, but he didn't. But Dad was involved in a program that gave him a lot of hope. He said in Slunim they lived a poor existence, things were tough. Unfortunately, my father lost everybody in the Holocaust. Everybody. But one thing that gave them hope is there was a Zionist organization, the Irgun, that was headed by Menachem Begin at that time, and my father would go to those meetings. And that gave him a lot of hope. And he would share that with me, that was like people going in Poland, no matter how bad it got. My father personally didn't meet face-to-face with the Nazis. That'd be the rest of his family. But my father made it clear you could not go to the park without being physically threatened by fist or knife by Polish youths. father said was all the time. You went to play soccer, it was going to be a fight. Now I know your original rabbi here, Rabbi Rosenblatt of blessed memory, you know, he went around all over the tri-state area going to parks and beaches, said that people should be nice to Jews and not have up nasty signs. You have that, you're all over there. And you can hear about it from his children, from Jason and Gary when they come. But if you read about that or you talk to people, I mean, they would just tell the Jews to leave. I don't know how violent it got in the state of Maryland. I'll just mention this. There's an old friend of Elliot's mishpacha named the Schumans. Many years ago, there used to be a place here, something water. What's called water? Edgewater. Used to be
Edgewater Pharmacy. They used to have a pharmacy.
So Joe and Selma Schumann used to have an Edgewater Pharmacy, and they lived here. They lived here many years ago. They were good friends with Elliot's parents. And one time I was traveling with my family, and I stopped in Chesapeake Beach in southern Maryland. I went there to see the Railway Museum. So Joe and I used to study Gemara together, and I was mentioning what we did on our trip. And so we stopped in Chesapeake Beach and said, stop. What did you do? I said, Chaiki and I stopped with the children at Chesapeake Beach. Why'd you do that? Joe, there was a sign for your museum. It was an old ocean resort. He says, Harry, Jews don't go there. You're from New York. You don't understand. Joe, nobody but, he goes, Harry, I grew up here. Jews don't go to Chesapeake Beach. Don't do that again. I didn't even know what was going on over here. Then later on, I read a big article about Rabbi Morris Rosenblatt, and then I understood what Joe was talking about. Now, I was made to understand, and it's interesting. I did go back there, without telling Joe, and I had a long talk with some African Americans, and they said, it's okay now. Now, I want to tell you exactly what they did. They said it's okay now. And this one fellow looked out of the corner of his eye and he said, the old ones are gone. Now you can come. How far is that from here? 40 minutes?
About that.
All right. All right. But we shouldn't know from
probably
such
30
things.
minutes. Maybe, yeah.
Okay, we shouldn't know from such things.
But driving.
But all right, let me get back to Dad. But one of Dad's major sources of hope was being part of this organization of Menachem Begin's about Israel. Israel is your hope. We don't have to be stuck in Europe forever. Okay. Now, Dad did, you never know what you're going to do for your children or your nieces and nephews that's going to touch somebody. You never, ever know. When I was a kid, my father used to bring home a cheese called Holy Land cheese. I don't know if you remember it. It came in a round container. It was triangular squares of some of the best cheese you ever could get, and it had little pictures of Israel on it.
Okay. Yeah,
now, yeah, they were absolutely delicious. Pasteurized, processed, and I would eat this all the time, and I always enjoyed it. And we didn't talk about it, but it had neat pictures of Israel on there. And there was a picture of a place called Tiberias. Now, little did I know that someday that city and that picture was going to be a major experience for me in Israel, which I want to share with you today. But Dad is the one that introduced me to Tiberias and Israel. Dad himself would have liked to visit Israel. He never got to go, but he has a cousin. Now, those of you intelligent ones who have been wondering what's the right way to spell my name. Is it K-A-R-P or C-A-R-P? I'm going to solve it right now. W-K-R-P is in Cincinnati. This is different. My father had a cousin who escaped Europe a different way. He went from Poland to Russia, and he fought in the Russian army, and then by 1948 he was in Israel. He fought in the fight for independence in 48, and then he fought in the Suez. That was my father's cousin, and that's how he was saved. And his name was Chaim Karpovsky. So that means if the family's real name is Chaim Karpovsky, it has nothing to do with gefilte fish. Okay? So if you ever want to write me an email, it's with a K, not with a C, because the real name is that kind of carp. I've yet to find out if in Polish Karpovsky has anything to do with fish. I hope not. But his whole family settled in Eretz Israel. They served in the Israeli army, and they're all still there. And I merited meeting him in the airport over there. But that gave me that connection to Tiberius. Okay, so we're going to talk about Tiberius Tiberia today. I mentioned Mr. Freund. This is slightly related. Mr. Freund belonged, again, he was 92, so that means he grew up on the east side, which I promised Dr. Crimmins sometimes we're going to talk about big time. And if you grew up on the east side, there was a lot of Zionist organizations of all kinds to belong to. And Mr. Freund impressed on me his love for Eretz Yisrael. He told me something they used to do that I don't know how many people would do this nowadays. And this will take us right into Tiberia. Mr. Freund said, this must go back, I guess, in the 30s, that to raise money for Israel, young boys and girls from the various groups, Zionist groups in the east side, would stand at the top of subway stairways, sing Israeli songs with a JNF, the blue and white pushka, to collect, and they would do it for hours. I said, Abe, in New York, you stood at the subway with a pushka. How could you do that in New York? You get yourself killed. So he gave me a very big smile. He says it was one of the most wonderful things that we ever did. We did it all over the place, and we would stand there by the subway, getting both, Jew and non-Jew, and singing all our songs, Kum Bachur Atzel, Atz Kukarika, all those Israeli pioneer songs, Am Yisrael Chai, whatever you like. And he said they did it with an absolute love, and that's how they supported Israel. So he just looked at me, he goes, you got a group of kids that's willing to do that now to raise money for Israel? To stand at the subway, we won't make them do it in New York subway, we'll ask them to do the DC subway. What'll happen? A cop will arrest them and say, where's your permit, right? That's probably what's going to happen. But with that introduction of a love for Israel, let me tell you what happened to me. Now, our past theme has been speaking positive about Israel, even if you don't feel like it, okay? And recently in the Daf Yomi, which the rabbi has posted, we even had a Gemara with Rav Yosef and Rabbi Yochanan, where we had different rabbis taking shots at the cuisine of the other country. We had one rabbi saying, yuck, that Israeli chicken, Rabbi Abba's Israeli chicken, who would want to eat that? And then Rabbi Yochanan says, stop knocking Israeli chicken. Let me tell you about those dips, those kutach dips you Babylonians have over there. They made me really sick. And it's this hysterical Gemara, these rabbis going back and forth, taking pot shot at each other's menu over there. But then, and they both felt, you don't make fun of me, we don't want to make fun of you. But Rabbi Yochanan, of course, was the editor of Talmud Yerushalmi, but his feeling should have been, you don't have to like Israeli chicken. And the Gemara says, I guess I spoke about the other day, this was a chicken that was heated and reheated over a course of days. Sounds like a program for ptomaine poisoning. But whatever, you even have people in the Gemara concerning what comments you make about the other one's menu. But this is what happened to me, and I had very great cause to say bad things about Israel, but the star of the show is a non-Jewish Oriental fellow named George Lee. Not related to Bruce Lee, George Lee, and I'll let you decide if he was human or not. Okay, I made the mistake of listening to the tour guide and going on the Jordan River rafting trip. Don't do it. You can do it, Rabbi Weisblum. You can for sure. Actually, I'll go if you come with me.
Okay.
Everybody says, all right, we're going to Tiberias, we're going to Tiberia, and you're going to have a lovely thing, Mr. Karp, you love to hike. You'll go with your son on the slightly whitewater rafting on the Jordan River. I'm outside of Jordan River. Joshua split the Jordan River. Very, very excited. So the bus takes us to a place called Kfar Blum. And all right, they're setting us up. We're going to go, the Kfar Blum, whatever over there, the kibbutz, whatever it is, they're going to help set you up to go on the boat, and you're going to go down the supposedly not so rapid Jordan River. We're about to get on this thing, and discuss if you should take off your shoes or not. Now, when you're going whitewater rafting, are you supposed to keep your shoes on or not?
Depends what kind of shoes.
Mine were off, which is important to the story.
Probably better. If you have the right kind of shoes, you should wear them. But if you,
all right, I had the wrong kind
right.
of shoes. The tour guide picks up this thread and says, "Oh, you may want these to tie your glasses on. Things can get a little rough." I said, "But what are you talking about?" "Well, there are thorn bushes on the side of the Jordan, so you may want this to tie your eyeglasses on." He didn't tell me how tight. We get on there, and I had gone boating before. David, I give you permission to laugh hard at me, my naive, and over here, you're going to enjoy this the most. And if you have to go out of the room and say, "I can't believe that rabbi is such a moron." Well, I had never done this kind of rafting. You did it. All right. Now, I didn't realize even on the Mile Jordan, which is nowhere near as big as the Mississippi or the Patapsco, or the boat goes like this. Now, I had my able-bodied son Noach with me and this other nice guy from named Arnold from Boston, and they were figuring out what they were doing, but I couldn't get control of the boat. The water's beautiful. Then the first move. The water takes the raft, knocks us into the side of the Jordan, and there are these thorns that they smack you in the face. Just like your mother. They just smack you in the face. Now, I had gone to yeshiva. I heard a lot of things about the Jordan River. I never heard about this. All right. Straighten them out, I'm okay. A few minutes later, we're rowing, and of course we're rowing the opposite way of what we're supposed to be doing, and the water's going here and there, and we're trying to figure it out, all three of us novices. Again, bang! Now this time, it was like this. Okay, tighten it up. The third time, we got such a whoosh, and we couldn't get control of the boat, that it hit me so far, the glasses went flying off, and they're in the bottom of the Jordan. Now, you can look at my glasses if you want to try to figure out what happens if I lose my glasses. If you want to try to guess my prescription in there. But I'm trying to think, the water's not that deep. Should I go in? But it's supposedly rapids. You have 17 fingers up. So I figure out what to do. And I got very upset with the state of Israel. And I made up my mind, I am getting out of this boat. I said, "Noach, pull the boat over." I said, "Abba, you don't know where you're going. You can't even see. You don't have shoes." "Noach, pull the boat over." So here I am, being a bad parent. I'm going to send my 16-year-old son off with this other nice Jewish man from Boston. And I see there's a dip in the river, but at some point you have to have foolish faith in God. And I said, "My son's very capable. He'll be okay." My wife probably would have killed me for that, but I got off the side. So there I am, standing on the side of the Jordan River, no shoes, it's hot, no glasses, and I'm not really sure where I'm going. So I start walking, and I'm cursing the state of Israel. Oh my gosh, this would never happen in a national park. Never, never. The park rangers wouldn't allow this. The Coast Guard would have saved me and put the glasses on my face already. So I'm walking there, and within minutes, my feet are burning. It was very hot, and I wanted to walk on an asphalt path because the only way I knew I was going, because on the side I'm going to hurt my feet, I have no shoes. So I'm walking, and I'm dirty, and I'm muddy, and I must have looked like, I don't know, the Bride of Frankenstein's sister. I'm just going there aimlessly, and I don't know how long it's going to take, and I'm praying to God my son's okay. And it really, really, really starts to hurt. My feet were killing me. So you try to get off the asphalt, walk on the side, you step on something else. Lo and behold, side of the road, pair of sandals. Broken sandals, pair of sandals. So I put them on. I hear my mother saying, "Athlete's foot." "Ma, I'm in pain. Forget it." Now, I should have realized God was already doing me a favor, because as we spoke in the past, if your prayer question is in America, it could take months or years to get answered. You do it in Israel, it could be minutes or months. So I should have realized God was already doing me a favor, but I was too grumpy. So I'm shuffling along, and then I get scared. Because in Israel, if you go to a national park, there are Arabs there too. Great. I can't see what I'm doing. I'm wearing the wrong shoes. I don't know where I'm going. And there's Arab families over there. They look like Reform because they weren't wearing the getup. But I didn't know what it was. I don't know. So I'm schlepping along. And this is where I really got mad at the state of Israel. I shuffle along. I made it in my broken sandals and I'm cross-eyed. I go up to the Israeli guy that's in charge of this. Now remember, you're talking to a man who did a lot of hiking and is used to national and state parks in this area that are very professional. I used to volunteer for Fort McHenry. I'm used to good rangering and service. I go up to the Israeli and I start saying to him, Slicha, Adoni, Alvarati at the Mishkafayim Shali, Benahar. I didn't even finish my sentence. The Israeli looking at me. Now remember, in Israel, if you speak to a guy who's wearing a uniform, right? Wearing a uniform, this, that says anything. Right hat, right shirt, this kind of shirt. Before I finish my sentence, the Israeli looks at me. Avud, en ma lasot, zehu. Is that typical, Rabbi? So that means lost, nothing you could do. Goodbye. No refund. No, so I wanted to scream. I should get a refund. In America, there'd be 5 rangers in a motorboat helping me to look for it. And later on, we did go back, and I'm going out of my mind. My son lived through it, and right now I'm thinking, I hate this country. It's a socialist. This is not the Israel in the Bible. I can't stand this place, or I was beyond miserable. That guy really did me in over there. You know, that guy finished me. Because I had experiences in America. You lose something in a park, you lose in the Grand Canyon, they'll get a helicopter, someone, Obama will send something, they'll do something for you, For this guy, my glasses, no refund, no nothing, and this, and I got no. So I go back, we stayed at this nice hotel in Tiberias, but I couldn't appreciate it because I couldn't see and I felt miserable. And here you are thousands of miles away from your eye doctor, right? And you can't see and you got another week in Israel. What are you going to do? So my poor son's leading me around. It looked like the pictures, with the son leading the leper or the blind man, whatever. I had trouble eating because I couldn't see the food. And, I didn't stick it in my ear, but I went to sleep that night absolutely horrid. No, I have to get out of here. I can't stand this. So I'm ruining my trip, my son's trip. In the morning, my son wakes me up. He leads me to Minyan. So there I fetch more. Because in America, the shuls are never crowded. In Israel, everything's smaller over here. Everything's crowded. And I couldn't see. Trying to daven. And I was absolutely, couldn't stand it. Now, in a blur, when I walked outside the shul, I saw the very beautiful Yam Kinneret, the Kinneret Sea, but I couldn't appreciate it because I was too miserable. We walk in the hotel. An Oriental man who was friends with some Jews on this tour walks up to me with a glass case, opens it up. I want you to try these on. So I'm figuring this man is out of his freaking mind. I have very thick glasses. Well, what are these? Reading glasses?
Seeing glasses.
He says, I want you to try these glasses on. I put them on. Not only could I see, they were exactly my prescription. Exactly. Now, we spoke to the eye doctor afterwards. He told me that is almost scientifically impossible because he said, Mr. Karp, not only do you have thick glasses and not too many people have the same left and right, he goes, you have stigmatisms. You have adjustments for stigmatism. The odds of there being another person with your eyesight and the exact same stigmatisms, so the eye doctor more than one eye doctor told me, the odds would give a math teacher a headache. He said, it can't be. I put it on, and I said, I was like going crazy. A crowd gathered around, and this guy, Mr. Lee from San Francisco, said, I give him eyesight. So everyone said, how did you know? How did you even figure out to try this? It was an extra pair of glasses. He said, I watched you walk, and you walk the way I walk when I'm not wearing my glasses, so I figured it was worth a shot. So I figured this is a $300 pair of glasses. So I said, all right, so I guess I'll give it back to you at the end of the day. He said, no. I said, you want me to give it back to you when we get back to Jerusalem? Remember, this man's not Jewish, never met him before. When we get back to Jerusalem. He says, no. You are keeping the glasses, you're going to wear them back to America, and when you get back to America, don't mail them back right away, because you have to go to your doctor to get a new prescription and everything. You mail it back whenever you're ready to. This guy doesn't know me. This is a very expensive pair of glasses. I hate to say it. How many Jewish people would do that? They give you the glasses. And the guy's telling me, don't worry, don't worry. Well, anyway, we became fast friends. And we tried to call him, and we did mail it back. And like, usually a pair of glasses is not, it's people so nervous. This guy was so chilled out. And that afternoon, we went to pray by the grave of Rabbi Akiva and the grave of Rabbi Lutzato, which is right next to him. And I overlooked and I saw the gorgeous, gorgeous Kinneret Sea, which, like Israel or not, I don't know if there's any sea in the world that has such a beautiful blue, like the Kinneret over there, overlooked by Tiberia. This man saved my entire trip to Israel. And just like the people on the bus just were whispering, is that guy, is he a nice Oriental guy from California, or is that guy Elijah? Because this can't be. This just can't be. Later on, my eye doctor from Maryland, Dr. Guggenheim, contacted Dr. Moshe Schechter in Jerusalem, and we worked it out with the glasses and everything like that, and we just couldn't get over thanking this guy. We still call him to thank him, and we thanked the people that he was friends with, and it was really interesting because we went to all the different graves, and he prayed also, so we prayed like this. It was very, very nice, but like, it was my biggest Israeli miracle, and I realized, Karp, keep your mouth closed. Because all my fetching and everything, God quickly said, Karp, I'm going to do you a favor that you don't deserve. and I remember standing with Dr. Schechter, and he's a rational man, a man of science, and I told him what happened. He says, yeah, you're right, this is impossible. He goes, only in Israel things like this could happen. So I'm just going to give you the cherry on top of the cake that got me to appreciate Israel. On the way to Dr. Schachter's, because I wanted to have another pair of glasses besides Mr. Lee's, and working everything out. I was walking in the new city of Jerusalem towards the optician place, and I felt a little bit funny. I didn't know exactly where I was going, but a little nervous, a stranger in paradise. So I was standing at a corner, and there was an Israeli tailor with his door open, listening to the radio. Now again, the big issue for me was, I missed America. I missed America. Missed the hometown, but really Israel's home. So this Israeli fellow was working, sewing something, and he's listening to the radio, and all of a sudden, out of this heart of Jerusalem radio tailor store, I hear Herb Alpert. Herb Alpert, the Jewish bugle guy, and Tijuana Brass. I'm in Jerusalem, and I love Herb Alpert. I've written letters to Herb Alpert. I'm absolutely nuts about Herb Alpert. So this is such a present. I get one of my favorite Herb Alpert songs at Heart of Jerusalem. So the cherry on the pie was, I'm looking across, stepping closer towards this Israeli's shop, listening to him and watching to him, because I'm very excited. He looks up, and he smiles at me, and he goes, like this. That's it. I said, God, all right, no, that's it. I'm going to behave myself. So the bottom line is that we should, especially with Pesach coming up, that we all should merit to go to Israel, to be able to stay in Israel, and only have positive things to say about Israel. And then not only that when things are not so good in Israel, should we be able to say it's good, it should be 100% good, and we all should be able to be merit there. Rabbi Weisblum will show us where to go, show us which river to stay out of, and we'll just have a beautiful time there in Israel. Thank you very much.
Let's go.
la 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 la